But very warm welcome to everyone who's taken a little bit of time out to come and join us. Today we're going to be talking about joined up digital marketing, how to make your channels work together. And for those obviously who've downloaded this after the webinar, hopefully you'll get some good thoughts on how to do this. Okay, the interesting difference of what we're going to be doing is rather than looking at the sort of major strategic top-down, which you do hear a lot. In fact, if you go to Google and type in Google digital marketing tactics, you always seem to get taken to blog posts about strategy. To be absolutely honest, many of them say the same thing, which is that you should be integrating your digital marketing. So what we're going to look at a little bit is tactics. We obviously have a limited time, but hopefully I can sort of give you some insights into how it's done. Clearly, as I said, we're limited for time, so hopefully you'll then be inspired to then go off and explore even further. But the point of this is that, as I say, you know, a lot of these workshops, conferences, and so on and so forth talk about it from a strategic point of view, but how does it actually is it done? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Now, as ever, we like a bit of a hashtag when we do an event like this. So if you want to post anything on Twitter, I'll be monitoring after the webinar. And anyone who posts under that hashtag, I will reply to. And again, I repeat that if you ever do an event of your own or a webinar, it's always a good idea to use a hashtag as well. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, by the way, and this is the first time you've been to a webinar, then my LinkedIn profile is the place to go and see about me. Anyway, enough of that. There is a wonderful business model. There are many business models and many strategic models. The one I find is particularly good, and it is copyrighted, is SOSTAC. I see it a lot all over the world. It's as I often say to people, it's knowing where you are now, where you want to get to, and how do you get there. It breaks it down. So if we just quickly look at the 6 steps, and as I said, I'm really going to just mention these things in passing because I want to get onto the actual tactics. Situation analysis, measurement before you start, analytics and so on. What your objectives are, SMART objectives, specific, data-driven. Strategy can be many things, but basically it's identifying an opportunity and then maximizing it, often with some sort of differentiator. Some superb. We've done previous webinars on strategy, so if you're interested, by all means DM me, direct message me via LinkedIn, and I'll point you to those, or email me, of course. Tactics is what we're going to talk about today. Action sort of tactics as well, and control is measurement after you've done the work or while you're doing it, so that you can then refine and go around that cycle again. And the area in which we're really focusing on today is the bottom 2 sections, with a little bit of the third one. So strategy and tactics, but particularly tactics, and then a little bit of action. As I say, we've done webinars in other areas, so I really want to talk about the tactics today, the actual things that you can do right now to improve the integration of your marketing. In other words, the different channels working together in a unified way. And in many ways, and as I say, it's a big subject, so what we're going to be talking about predominantly today is connecting up your channels, okay? And hopefully you'll get a few tips, get a few things to think about. It's really about thinking about which channels you're going to use, and that's driven by your objectives, of course, and your strategy, and then joining them up. So what sort of things can we do in a tactical way? Right, okay. So first thing is that there's lots of different channels. There's so much to do now that it's really, you know, difficult to sort of deal with it all. You know, should you be on Pinterest? Should you be on Instagram? Should you be on Facebook? You know, the social media networks. I have just had a word from my wingman who says turn the mic up. So I'm hoping this turns the mic up. Yeah. If you can't, as I say, if anyone's getting any problems, I'm just going to quickly go in, because we are dealing with the world of innovative technology, and just see if there's any messages. No, look forward to sharing some insights. Yes, yes. Okay, so nope. Sounds as though he is okay. Again, we have in the past re-recorded stuff when it's been really bad, or even bad, simply because obviously you've taken your time out and you don't want to be listening to static and white noise. So coming back to the point, lots of channels. Okay, now again, we've done in the past things on this, but focus on the channels that matter to you. Yeah, and the ones that work for you. And that is done through measuring the effectiveness of channels through analytics and other measurement tools. Because there's always new social media networks coming along, because it's what sits at the center of digital marketing is innovation. Everybody thinks, okay, wow, hang on, hello, that's arrived, a new social media. I need to jump in there. And it's great to be first mover, but some things don't work out and some do. So you want to get your bread and butter right first. You want to get your solid channels going, and that's, obviously if you're something like doing business to business, an obvious one would be LinkedIn. So you'd be using LinkedIn if you want to grow your business through business to business relationships. I have heard that Facebook are launching a competitor to LinkedIn, Facebook for Business. And that sounds very exciting. I think that LinkedIn does tend to dominate that part of the market. Okay, so let's move on if I can. Why is this not happening? What's going on? Why is my slide? Aha, right. You can see it's live. Okay, so I've talked about this before. The danger in looking at different channels is to silo them. And what happens in siloing is that people tend to keep things apart because that's how they can make them simpler. Yeah, they'll take the whole digital marketing spectrum or what they believe is important, and they'll separate them. So the PR goes out to the PR people, the ads go out to the ad people, etc., and they don't communicate with each other. And it's really important that, hang on, I've got a sort of echo going on. Jamie, you have to do that. I can hear myself in your laptop. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm going to echo. Okay. So if you want to avoid siloing, everybody has to communicate, and that means that in the campaigns we've run, everybody needs to work together, and in order to achieve that, you need online tools, and you need the right people doing the right jobs. So even though people are doing maybe dealing with separate disciplines, there still needs to be robust communication. In many of the campaigns we run, we are talking around daily or weekly at the minimum, which we like, weekly communication, shared resources in using the tools that you've got. We personally use Teamwork, and it's great because it's got archiving and so on and so forth. Now, as I said, you need to make sure you get the setup right. So right people, right channels, and determine what you're going to do with those channels and how you're going to work them. So moving on, so let's get the setup right, okay? So one of the big trends at the moment is content, and it's certainly, according to some, and I tend to agree with this, it's the most important trend going on in digital marketing. And as ever, because it's so important, as is the case with social media, it's getting more and more popular, and you have to be doing it really simply because it's expected. Customers, your customers and prospective customers, expect you to be able to create and distribute quality content, because the relationship between suppliers or goods and services and customers has changed, and it's changed predominantly because of customer expectation. So, give you an example. 10 years ago, if you had a shop, a retail, a shop online, e-commerce, you could literally be very successful by literally just having lots of products, essentially a catalog online. This is not the case today. Now, most people who, before they buy online, they want to research, so they wanted to know about the company they're buying from, they want to know about the products they're buying, the services the suppliers of services they're engaging with, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and this means that you have to have some type of content strategy, and it's in content marketing where the integration works, basically. So if you have content, then you need to make sure, when it comes to distribution of that content, that you're joining up the dots, for want of a better expression. And if you look at this wonderful chart here from the Content Marketing Institute, it shows you how it's a great little model in how to create a content marketing framework. I highly recommend this website if you're into content marketing. And even if you're outsourcing your content marketing activities, it's a great site to learn more about the subject. And here you've got the process, so planning, audience, story. Story is, I think, my favorite of all of these steps, if you like, because it's stories which are, if you like, the best received on the web. Stories, so customer stories, user stories, or case studies, or people talking about your business rather than, ironically, you talking about your business. People want to hear other people talk about your business or your products or your services. Yeah. So, getting down to the tactics of this, you've probably seen this slide before. So we're talking about content and we're talking about integrated marketing, okay? And the first thing, of course, you need to do, and again, we've covered this in detail in the past, is create the right sort of content, okay? And there are lots of different formats, as we all know. There's texts and polls and videos and quizzes and treasure hunts and white papers and ebooks and so on and so on and so on, yeah? But you need to be creating content fairly consistently, ideally on a daily basis. Yeah, so you'll be expected to post into the social media networks. As I say, if you're business to business, then you need to be going into LinkedIn fairly frequently. And if you're business to consumer, then other networks such as Facebook and so on. Facebook, actually, interestingly, there's a new, I say fairly new, it's been going on for about 18 months now, whereby EdgeRank is making less organic content visible. So really, to gain visibility on Facebook now, you should be looking at Facebook advertising or promoted posts for various reasons, the main one being that Facebook wants to make more money out of its user base. Then, of course, we've got the hub, the regularly scheduled content. So your schedule should really stretch, as a minimum, I would say 6 months, but certainly 12 months is good. So you've got content planned for various events, maybe various dates. Again, say you're a firm of accountants, maybe the budget, during the next budget. Say you're B2C, then maybe Easter holidays or summer or religious festivals, whatever. Yeah, you should have regular content stretching out in front of you in order to be able to deal with this, because you're actually going to have to, and this is where the integration works, you're going to have to distribute this content through multiple channels to give it maximum visibility. And it's the integration, or it's working those channels together with this content that makes it all work. And then, of course, we have the big hero type content. If you are a larger brand or work with a larger brand, you know, it's the big campaigns, this so-called hero content. But, you know, even if you're a small business or a smaller business, there's some very cool, very clever stuff you can do using content and integrated marketing on very low budgets, interestingly, very low budgets. So Last time we talked about ideas. I don't want to dwell too much on this because, as I say, I really want to talk about the tactics of joining it all up and what do you do with that content, yeah? But if you haven't got the basics right, if you don't understand the fact that you need good content and that you need to schedule it, and you need to have regular ideation or idea creation sessions to keep that content fresh and updated, and that you need to be using multiple formats like video, audio, and even webinars. It's those things you've got to get right before you can think about distributing, and also the technology. But we all try to get around that, don't we? Okay, so ideas. So here is an example of an incredibly simple content schedule. This one's only for 3 months. To be honest, our content schedules, when we create content schedules both for ourselves and our clients, they are much more detailed than this. So let's take that top line there where you've got an ebook. First you need to write the ebook, then you need to get it designed. Actually, firstly, before it gets designed, sorry, you need to plan it. So you need to think about what you're going to call it, what you're going to do it on. You then need to write it or get it written. You then need to edit it and typo check it, and then of course you need to get it designed. And that's most of us aren't newspaper groups or magazine publishing companies, so therefore there's a degree of iteration. Possibly people are doing it between other jobs. But it's a really important thing to do. And the same actually applies to all the other things, say webinar. As you know, we do a little short vid, if you like, to introduce the webinar between you and me. We found that tends to work better for registrations. But all the content that you're going to be creating needs planning. First you need the idea, then you need to plan it, then you need to do it, then you need to check it, and so on and so forth. And that takes time. So the content schedule will have all those steps in, yeah. And that's where we use more detailed planning tools such as Gantt charts within tools like Teamwork. So you really want more of a type of project management or Gantt chart approach to that, because one piece of content may have 8, 10, 15 different actions. That's just one single piece of content. So if you're, and that's in one channel. So if you're turning it into a video, that you've got to book studios, you've got to get people to edit the thing, you've got to people to shoot the thing, and so on and so forth. So that's why you need a good plan. Okay, if that all sounds terribly overwhelming, then it shouldn't be, because basically what you should do is focus on the priorities, which works best for us. And by the way, try things out as well. Try them out. If they don't work that well the first time, then try out, make a few changes. Don't necessarily just give up. And if it really, you're convinced it simply doesn't work, then obviously you've got to do something else. Now, here I'm going to talk you through, if you like, the anatomy of of an integrated marketing campaign, yeah, and one that it's our own. Isn't that easy? Because I can really talk to you about all the details. And this is an ebook we published about a week ago, and it's called quite a catchy title. I love that word, or Extraordinarily Successful Content Marketing Campaign. It's actually called How to Plan and Build an Extraordinarily Successful Content Marketing Campaign. Nice catchy title, yeah. And it has a landing page, and that essentially, instead of advertising our services, which is very much about push marketing or mailing people how wonderful we are, which of course goes without saying, we want to mail them something that may be valuable to them. Yeah, and there's the difference in thinking. Now, I've talked about that a lot in the past. You need to get attention, not so much by saying how wonderful you are, because we know that already, but using content. And this is an example of how we did that and how we are currently doing that. This is pretty well hot off the press, so to speak, although printing presses had nothing to do with it. And it's of the now, because it's content marketing, and it's something we do as well. So it all sort of links up. So here's the landing page, okay, and just in case you want to go and download that ebook, I've put a short link in there at the bottom, and you can go and you can see I mailed myself to see this page, and of course if you receive by email, then point to note is on the right-hand side there. If you have somebody's email details, then make sure that the form fills in by default, if that makes sense. So make sure that the field, that the forms there all, so the form that on the landing page is auto-completed. You have a much better conversion rate. Essentially, someone's just got to click submit. I don't have to fill the whole thing in there, and that's great. A little bit of content there. Bullet points are always good. Nice bold title, an image of a book, and a link there. We would probably, over a period of time, we look to see which titles work best. We look to see, we change the length of the text. We try different things. We might put the image on the left rather than the right, and so on and so forth, to find out really a little bit of type of A/B or multivariate testing to find out what's working best. So we're always refining this, okay? And that's the landing page. And in digital marketing terms, we would call that the hub. That's what we are trying to get people to do, yeah? So hub and spoke. Okay, now, as the hub, how can we get people? Well, we're going to look at each of these in a little more detail in a moment. The first thing we do is, guess what? We optimize the pages for search engines. So obviously sometimes the search engines take a little longer to index the page. Sometimes they do it very quickly. The idea is to optimize the landing page or a digest of whatever it is you're doing, or the page itself. Think, where do we want people to go to? We'll optimize it, yeah. And we've also had a webinar on optimization. We send out email, but rather than the sort of annoyingly interruptive, we do the best thing in the world, and here's a video of the managing director, we say, here's a good free ebook. And I dare say that a lot of people who receive that ebook are not potential customers. It doesn't matter. It's the fact is that we have written this ebook. Is actually this particular one I particularly like, by the way. It's good. And I'll show you an example of an informal emails. By the way, I mean, there's lots one can say about emails, but people open them for two reasons: one, who they're from; two, the headline of the email. That's it. That's why someone will open an email. Once they start reading an email, people tend to respond better to informative type of chatty emails rather than formal type of business speak. This has all been proved in research. I've got various things I can show you if I needed to. Social, of course, we so-called seed this into social, and we off-ramp back to the hub, and the hub in this case is the landing page I just showed you. Why do we want to do this? Well, we want people to download the content, and then we can have a look at who they are. Maybe I've met them at an event, maybe I know them already, maybe I don't know them. The idea is to build a relationship and to say, hey, look, we know what we're doing. We really know what we're doing. We know what we're doing so well. We've produced a book about it. That if you don't want to use us, that's fine. But if you do want to use us, that's also fine. Yeah. This one, as I say, is a particularly good book, but there we go. I'm biased. Paid search. Okay. Again, traditional marketing on paid search. You might use the paid search again to drive services and expect people to land on your landing page and make an instant decision to buy your product. Yes, of course, that works. Yeah. Or one can use content as we've done. Now, in our case, we are a business-to-business business. We are not a retailer. We want people to engage with us, and we do understand that we have to, start to build a relationship, start to prove that we know what we're talking about before we can begin to build that relationship. So I would argue that when you're in a business-to-business sector, actually creating content is probably more powerful than just taking people to a so-called services page, because everybody, all your competitors are going to have a services page as well, and often there's very few differentiators. Retailing, even then, arguably, I would say that there's a case to be made where you can link people to a video, or you can link people to a how-to-buy guide, as well as, if you like, more traditional PPC strategies. Ads, even ads, and I'm going to show you an example of this. If you use LinkedIn, and I dare say you probably do use LinkedIn, you'll have noticed that you're beginning to see promoted posts. They are very effective, as it happens. But again, if what's the best practice in promoted posts in business-to-business social media networks is to advertise your content, not your services. And again, you've probably seen that in your own promoted posts because of the change in the way people now buy things, which obviously a very large amount of buying or research takes place online, and it's increasing all the time, and people want to learn more about the businesses that they are engaging. So full page, on-page content optimization is what you need. I've talked about that already and I've done a webinar on it. And so I'm not going to dwell on that too long. Certainly if you want to talk to someone about it, not heavy selling, I hope I'm not going across that way, by all means give us a call or email us and we can talk about your on-page content optimization. Keywords. Now keywords, I've put here that it influences both paid and organic. It actually influences all your marketing because it influences all your content, and ideally you want to infuse into your content without being obsessive or spammy about it. You want to infuse into all your content. This is a real tactic. You need to do keyword research much as you might for an organic or a paid search campaign, and then infuse the keywords into your content as well. Yeah. Obviously, organic search is all about keywords. Come to that. So is PPC all about keywords, and it's using the right keywords. And there is a difference. There is a difference between the keywords that you may be targeting with organic and the keywords you may be targeting paid. Give you a good example: misspelt words. You know, it isn't possible or even sensible to try and target misspelt words with organic search, because in order to do so, you'd have to probably put misspelt words on your web pages, which isn't going to look very professional. Whereas you can target misspelt words with paid. You can also target competitor brand names. You can't advertise using them, but you can target them in terms of paid search. So this is where, and I'm talking about integration, this is where your team handling paid and your team handling organic should either be the same team or they should be in very close communication with each other, as should they be in close communication also with those people writing content, so that you're all working towards the same aim, which is to be found at the top of search engines, be it through organic or through paid, for particular keyword searches. Yeah, even if those keyword searches are done, as is increasingly being done, in an audio way. So 1 + 1 = 3. What do I mean by that? Well, people often ask me, they say, if I'm top organic, do I still need to carry on with the paid campaign? You don't need to, but the benefit is believed to be, and research certainly supports this, the benefit of being top for both gives you greater visibility, greater presence, and therefore greater benefit. So even if you're top for the organic phrases, it's worth being top for paid, and that's how paid and organic work together. Yeah, but of course they also work with content and other things as well. So once you've got your page optimized for search engines and you've got your PPC account up and running, you can use one for the other. Another good way of doing keyword research is to run PPC campaigns, and because then you get very accurate data that you can then use in your organic campaigns. Okay, unified measurement. Another great advantage of using multiple channels and making them work together and pouring them all through certain applications, a few of which I'm going to show you in a moment, is that you can do side-by-side type of measurements. So you can say, hang on, so we're spending that amount on paid search, we're spending that amount on organic. What are the benefits we're getting from each? And of course it goes beyond that as well into display advertising and so on and so forth. So you want to be looking for unified measurement. Google Analytics is a good tool for doing that. Sprout Social is a tool for looking at social media measurement, and Majestic SEO is a method of looking at your keyword position, so your ranking of your words. And the idea is, and we actually do this for clients, we basically use multiple tools and we pull the information together into one single overview, and what we're currently working on is trying to automate that, because we do use different tools, but you need to have unified measurement. So if you're using multiple channels, you need to have a method whereby you can look at the different channels and the efficiency of the different channels without having to go into one place and out one place and go into another place and out one place. You simply want the whole lot aggregated together. Okay. So here is the email I mentioned. Here you go. This is an email. Hi Jeremy, we've got an exciting brand new 22-page ebook to share with you, etc., etc. It's nice and chatty, it's friendly, it's not formal, it's short, it's to the point, and it's got a great piece of content behind it. And it's working, basically. I can share that with you as well. Now, don't forget your email signature. People often forget their own personal profile. So imagine you've got a company, and I did meet a company the other day with 200 people, and I said to them, how many? I reckon most people send 250 emails a day. Most people send out. So why not put something? Why not encourage your colleagues or your team, or indeed your whole company, to put something into the email signature? In this particular case, we've got our site checker tool that we use and created, and that's content I'd want people to see. I could might change that to an ebook, but use those sigs. And if you think about it, as I said, if you've got 200 people in the company and each one is sending 50 emails a day, that's a lot of emails, isn't it? That's 10,000 emails a day, isn't it? Something like that. 10,000 emails a day going out with possibly a link to your content, a link to that hub, a link to that landing page. Yeah. So you've got some hidden resources. How much does this cost you? Nothing. If you happen to have a business of 2,000 employees, then it gets huge. But even if you've got a business with 10 employees, each putting a link in their SIG or signature in their email, then that's a powerful thing to do. So moving on, social media. I'm just going to talk about the detail of this in a minute. Twitter. Okay, now when you're using Twitter or indeed any of the social media, it's not a good idea to use them what we call native, because it's phenomenally time consuming to do that, going into separate social media networks and posting things. So my recommendation is to aggregate using a tool like my favorites, Hootsuite. You may know of others, TweetDeck, for example. And the idea is that you can spread your seeding of your messaging, okay, across multiple networks very, very quickly. You can also schedule it. Now, I'm not in favor of this type of auto bot thing where at once an hour, every hour, something gets blasted out. But to be able to aggregate distribution of something that you think is valuable to your marketplace or your market or your audience is good. And it has to be valuable, by the way, because if people download it and it's just rubbish or thin, then they're probably not going to download it again. And the other thing you'll notice from this is, actually that's a post about a talk I was doing, is that we also post about other people's content as well. So if we find other people's content that we like, this is called curated content, and again it can help you build your visibility and your credibility in the marketplace. So that's another tip. So again, aggregate. Okay. Now here is the end, if you like, of my LinkedIn profile, and as you can see here, I've put a link to the ebook, and a link to the landing page where people can get the ebook, and I put it on my social media profile on LinkedIn. So again, why not? LinkedIn is a business-to-business network. I assume that people who go and look at my LinkedIn profile may or may not want to work with me and or White Hat, and so why not put some links there? And again, it's something people miss out. And it's, again, does it cost anything? Absolutely not. It took me 3 minutes to do. And you just go to your LinkedIn profile, find a section to add it to. There's a little square at the top right-hand corner, and start adding your content or your company's content. Yeah, it's powerful stuff, because if it's good content, depending on how many people look at your LinkedIn profile, but it adds up. If you're getting 20, 30 people a day look at your LinkedIn profile, over a month that's 600 people. Over a year that's 7,000 people who potentially could download that content. Yeah, I have to be honest. I need to add more, and I will be adding more. But it's a nice little tactical tip there. Again, Okay, now one of the things that I mentioned earlier is the way Facebook has changed the EdgeRank algorithm, and this is the advertising side. And if you remember that slide I've just showed you where you've got the hub in the middle, which is the content itself, we want to get people to the hub. We are using, in this case, so-called promoted posts within LinkedIn. Now, the great thing about that is that we can highly target who we want to see them. So we can target particular geolocation. We can target a particular role. In other words, say I want to target marketing managers or marketing directors, I can do that. I can target in the, say, the UK or the south of the UK or particular places. You can actually use social media to target, I believe, better than you can target in PPC. The targeting is better simply because, generally speaking, and I'm generalizing quite a lot here, the social media networks do have more details of the profile of the individual than Google does, although Google, of course, does have Google+. And I think we're going to see Google+ also making a much bigger play to get business people networking on it more than it does already. But as I say, one can target, and therefore you're spending your money wisely. It's done on a cost per click basis, but you know if someone's clicking and you've defined your target market properly, then you're going to get a worthwhile return. And again, what I will not do is I won't just suddenly hit everybody with lots of interruptive marketing. Whoever's downloaded the ebook, one has to not send them spam. But it is, of course, the first step in building a relationship with the person who's downloaded the ebook. Content repurposing, I've mentioned this many times. Of course, that one single ebook we are going to turn into tweets. We're going to turn that into a video or video tips. We're going to turn that into a SlideShare deck. We've got that one ebook. It only was hot off the press last Thursday or Wednesday, and we will now repurpose it. So we will be talking about taking all the things from the ebook and repurposing them into multiple formats. And of course, by simply doing so, that enables us to then get on to YouTube and Vimeo and other video websites, and of course SlideShare, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So by the mere fact that we are repurposing in these different formats enables us to therefore seed it more widely. And so again, when you create something, anything, think about the repurposing of it. Now, I've talked about our own campaign going completely the other end of the scale. There's a nice website called Smart Insights run by a guy called Dave Chaffee. And lots of case studies also on the consultancy website, who I must confess I train for, about case studies. And I was looking for some good integrated marketing case studies. These obviously are large ones. I was looking at the How Dog Are You O2 campaign. I was reading about that and the various sites I've just mentioned. And it doesn't matter how small your campaign or how large a campaign. This is just a couple of examples of case studies of large campaigns. The first one is the How Dog Are You, and of course there's a website called How Dog Are You. It's a subdomain of the O2 website, but it has its own website. Of course, we've seen the ads on TV. TV ads, of course, go onto YouTube. If you go onto this particular site, there are quizzes. There is a How Dog Are You application. You know, they are creating, obviously they've got a reasonable budget. They are creating visibility across multiple channels. If I key How Dog Are You into search engines, of course they are the top result. And it's the same concept. This content was begun by an ideation session or a brainstorming session, possibly with an agency, and then they would have thought, okay, what are we going to do? What's the story? What are we going to create? And then all these other things would then fall into place and have been planned out through essentially, in essence, a content schedule or a content timeline, and they'd have probably been launched at different times and so on and so forth. Yeah, so all carefully planned out, and I dare say, I know all carefully measured and monitored for uplifted sales, engagement, and so on and so forth. Okay, so another campaign which I liked was from Amex. And Amex are pretty good at this. They've been doing American Express. They've been doing this for a few years, this type of thing. They're very supportive of businesses. They've had business community websites for giving advice to people for years. And this is the Small Business Saturday, which is, if you like, it's a clever move by Amex to support small traders. Yeah. And again, it's well written up about the web. I haven't got obviously I can't show you the videos and so on and so forth, but it's all good stuff. It's Amex making a statement about themselves, that they care, and the idea is to get people back in the high street on a Saturday, going to the small businesses and supporting the small businesses, which is an interesting angle on sort of Amazon and some of the larger supermarkets, is that there's now Amex behind this move to go back to the high street, go do your shopping there, Channels they've used, and again, this is well documented on the web, is print, of course, because it's small businesses. They're using Facebook, they're using YouTube, and another interesting one there, they're using Google Maps, and I highly recommend that you go and read it up. So from the two ends of the scale, the campaign we've been doing on our ebook and the campaigns of these larger brands, but it's the same principles using similar tools. And when it comes right down to it, if you read the authors of strategy, 60% of strategy is tactics. Yeah. People are very keen to talk about, how to integrate your digital marketing. When it comes down to it, it's people doing hard work in rooms and getting things done, online. And it's the tactics is just as important as the strategy. Get your strategy right, no question. You can't function without decent strategy. But when it comes right down to it, your team, whether it's yourself or whether it's 200 people, need to be speaking with each other and up to speed on all of this. Okay. Now, we've been going for 42 minutes. It's 45 minutes that I've got you for. So I just want to briefly talk about something we've developed, which I like to call Sales Accelerator. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I say developed. We're actually developing it, whereby, just to show you how the sort of component parts in literally 2 sentences, I'm not going to give you the big pitch, is the first thing as part of the Sales Accelerator is we will be providing to anyone who wants it expertise on integrated marketing, in many of the things I've just mentioned, so search, social, content, and so on. The next thing we're putting together is software, but we're building connectors between the software. And we're talking about using something like 8 different software packages, that one of which is our own, 7 of which aren't, that we're working together to create a sort of ecosystem or an infrastructure. So we've got the expertise, we've got the software, okay? And the software, we're looking at best of breed software, and if something doesn't perform what we want it to, we'll replace it. It's a bit like a Lego kit or a Meccano kit, where we're using multiple pieces of software, like Google Analytics, like SiteChecker, like Teamwork, and we're putting them together to create this engine, if you like, which is a sales growth engine for our clients. Control is about measurement. Okay, so one of the things, we don't leave it to chance. We need to have insights, in-depth insights into the performance of the campaigns. And of course, then my computer seems to have locked for some reason. But basically, this Sales Accelerator is designed to help clients that we have in their sales growth. Yep. Now, there's 2 more slides only. One is a Q&A slide. So what I'm going to do, if I can find this, is I see if there's any questions and answers here. If you ask any questions, no questions, so that's good. I can't see. Oh, hang on, questions. Let's see, it's just there. Right, hang on. Let's just see that. Oh, we have got questions. My apologies. You sound fine to me, Jeremy. Thank you very much, Jim. I always worry about the technology. I really do. It's the one thing you can't rely completely on. Can we download the presentation? Yes, very much so. Jamie or Charlie will contact you. You'll actually get to see the last 2 slides, which, to be fair, are just a Q&A, a big slide saying questions and answers or Q&A, and then a slide about me and my contact details, which are jeremy.spiller@whitehatmedia.com, or our phone number, which is 08455 440 223. Or if you want to get me on my mobile and you're special because you're on this webinar, my mobile phone number, if you're international, is 0044 7958 403 503. As you know, always happy to talk about digital marketing and any problems you've got. Sometimes for often for no fee. Who cares? It's not all about the money, is it? Okay, can we download the presentation? Yes. Let's see the next question. Thanks again. Another great webinar. Thank you very much, Jim. That's lovely. Hope to bump into you at the eConsulting offices. Absolutely. Yeah. Great place there. Very sociable. Can we gain access to the presentation? Yes, certainly can. Can you please send us the link for the ebook? Yes, I will do that. I'm pretty sure we've got your name in it's in the slides as well. It's a short link or a link. And can you add the phone numbers and email to the webinar question box? Yes, that's a good idea. I'm going to repeat email address. By all means, email me personally if you need to, jeremy.spiller@whitehatmedia.com. Or, as I say, my mobile number is 0044 7958 403 503. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed putting it together. If I know that the fact you've decided to take 45 minutes of your valuable time out to listen to me, means that you're passionate as I am about digital marketing. So many things changing. And either hope to see you soon or hope to see you at the next webinar. Thank you. Bye.